Hello everybody and welcome to another off-schedule Thomas College esports game. That's right, today we are bringing you not one, not three, unfortunately, but two exciting Overwatch series today from both of Thomas's esports teams. That is right. Today, you will be first watching some exciting gameplay from Thomas College A team going against Redbird College today. And then later on, you will be able to see Thomas College B team play as well. Both of these teams are fighting to go into playoffs, so these will be very exciting games none the less. And if you're a Thomas fan, you are hoping that you see one or both go to playoffs. Some unfortunate news, the League of Legends team had the same kind of situation on Tuesday, but unfortunately they had to surrender as there was some scheduling issues, as well as players not being able to make it, and just it was really too late for a reschedule as we were already waiting in the lobby. So unfortunately, League of Legends is done for the season. Went pretty even in the record. I think just barely went negative. And stick around for next semester, next season as well, as there's going to be some new members and the league team is still going to be going strong. Today, though, is all about Overwatch. All about Overwatch. That's right. No League of Legends here, just straight Overwatch for what could be 4 hours. That's right. You heard me. 4 hours. So I hope you all are ready because they are immediately getting into picks and bans. That's right. Thomas College. But first, before I go over picks and bans, we get into the game, let's go over the lineup as it is going to look a slight bit different today from what you normally see as a Thomas College viewer. That is right. Today we are going to see, per normal, Killer Neon on the DPS, going to be absolutely shredding people on the hit scan, on the Venture, on the Pharah. That's right. And then you're going to have Aquilian on tank, my personal GOAT. I love the guy. Absolutely great out of the game and in the game. And then you're going to have Rice Juice per normal on support. But the mix-up here is going to be who's with Rice Juice on support. That's right. It's not Bookshelf today. It's instead Pranksters. That's right. The Pranksters that you know and love from the B team is filling in today on the A team. Unfortunately, Bookshelf is not able to make it today, so we're going to have Pranksters filling in on support today. So, keep an eye on him. Will he either hold the team back, or will he boost them just like Bookshelf does? And then for the Redbirds lineup, if we're going based off the lineup of Thomas College, as people like to mirror the same lineup with their tank kind of in the middle, Carter and Arise are going to be on DPS today, going against Killer and Neon. You're going to have Dr. Death, that's an intimidating name, fighting against Aquilian. And then you're going to have Clonkpog and Destiny facing off against Rice Juice and the filler Pranksters. So it's going to be some exciting stuff today, as it's going to be intense gameplay as well as the sub for the A team for Bookshelf. Today I'm going to be by myself, as Cargo Tokens I believe will not be able to join us. He's doing his own life stuff, which is understandable. But before we get into the game, let's talk about those picks and bans. That's right, it's going to be pick and bans today, and I believe, let me look real quick. That is right, the Redbirds had the first ban today, and they chose to ban, let me look real quick, I was lowering the music. They decided to ban Antarctic Peninsula. So, pretty unusual ban, we don't usually see that. But Thomas College, however, has decided to go to the Ilios. Could be because of just what the current meta is. It could be because of how they've been feeling overall. But you are going to be seeing a lot more Ilios today. As we go to Ilios, the first map, assuming this works immediately, which it does, thankfully. Let me fix it real quick so it's not... Oh, don't exit. As soon as we go in, it's actually going to be Ilios Well. With the... Yeah, Ilios Well. So it's going to be some exciting stuff as we're going to start with this map. It's going to be interesting to see what teams come out with. Thomas College, typically they like to start the D.Va here, as we've been seeing a lot of the D.Va from Thomas College lately. If you remember in the previous games, Thomas has been playing a lot of the D.Va either on these maps to play like a D.Va Brawl kind of comp or a D.Va Dive. A lot of other teams, however, are choosing to take the opposite route and instead going back to the traditional Winston dive. I believe a lot of the dive brawl comps have been pretty heavy, and that's why we are seeing a lot of teams go to these maps, is because it favors this kind of brawl dive. We are going to be seeing the Pharah matchup here as both teams kind of come to the point. You're going to be seeing Arise and Neon trying to fight in the sky. It's going to be quite interesting to see who's going to be the victor overall. Aquilian and Destiny actually is going to be on tank. Dr. Death is actually on support. So a little bit of a mix-up there. As the camera goes a little wild, we do see Killer finds Dr. Death here in the backline. If we look, absolutely going crazy in the backline, doing the job as Venture here. This is what we always see from Killer. Always in the backline, always kind of taking these off angles to try to find these supports for the enemy team. And in this case, it's going to be the Redbirds who have the unfortunate luck of dealing with that Venture today. We did see a nice TP bell from Raichus as well, going into support Killer, and now Thomas has control of the point, 15% and climbing as Redbirds come back. Neon finding an early pick on a Carter there. The Pharah spam, absolutely massive for Thomas, as it's just going to be a 5v4. Neon is falling a little low in the skies, but with the support, and Clunkpug and Destiny about to fall as well. This should be no issue for Neon, and he's going to be able to back away freely with no contest. Arise is going to have a bit of a hard time here, I feel, on this Pharah, as Aquilian's on this D.Va, and it provides so much more support and just kind of anti-dive. And as I just say that, we see Arise switch to the Echo here for a little bit more sustaining control of the skies. We're going to see Destiny leap on, try to get on top of this high ground here. 60% to Primal. No teams have really been ult, but Thomas, due to the winning, have built their ults a lot faster. We're going to see them probably engage here as a dive, trying to look for Aquilian, maybe get out of mech, but Destiny is going to actually find two! Not even Destiny, Arise in the backline we didn't even see! Found two picks on the Echo immediately after swapping onto Pranksters and Neon, taking the Menace out of the skies and taking Pranksters down with him. So once we hit 64%, we're going to actually see Killer on a little flank there. We can see the outline because we have the spectator privileges. But Killer here doing what Killer does best in the game of Overwatch and trying to wait for anyone to assassinate. It works sometimes, it works some other times, and it works not all the time. But you know what? It's his specialty and he makes it work. Aquilian here trying to force out a Rise. You see Clockbug trying to come in for support. It's kind of weird that they have a Lucio doing that, but considering the Winston dive, it's pretty normal. As we see Killer going here with the Excavation, trying to find some pigs, but the rest of the Redbirds have kited Aquilian with a nice defense matrix on Carter's Pulse Bomb there. Prevents anyone from getting picked. Neon unfortunately falls to a Rise in the sky, but we do see the duplication come out from not Dr. Death, from a Rise onto the D.Va to match it just a little bit, as they did lose Dr. Death, one of their supports. So now they have the Lucio, but the Lucio will provide the beat here for the sustain as the Starlight Vector from Pranksters comes out, and it's just going to be a brawl on point. We do see Neon with the Mirage actually coming in, finding a couple of picks as well as some follow-up onto Destiny and Clonkpog. Carter's just going to be on the point trying to stall as long as possible, but it's only going to get to 58% as Thomas gets the flip back to 66, and it's in their hands once again. The ult economy for both teams looking pretty solid. 2 ults to 2 ults. Destiny does have a kind of similar use ult to Aquilian's, although Aquilian's tends to get less value just due to the nature of the ultimate, where it's usually used as a remech per se if you get like knocked out of mech. Neon going to fall some excellent stickies from Arise here is going to make it hard for Neon to play the game, as he's going to go around. The Kitsune Rush coming out from both teams, kind of a mirror. Prankster's kind of running for his life here, gets the health pack. Arise is super low, but with Destiny on his tail, he's going to fall, and now it's only going to be a 2v4 as Dr. Death does get picked off by Aquilian, but Aquilian is going to actually use the D.Va bomb here to try to get a remech. Will fall due to being 1 HP, but it does provide that stagger line for Thomas to get back. But Thomas here is probably just going to opt to choose for a recontest, as Killer does find Clonkpog, but is going to shortly fall afterwards. Well, I had some cookies on the way here, and it's starting to bite me in the butt. But Thomas here going to have to go for the re-engage. It's 67 to 99%. Thomas not necessarily good in the ult economy just because of how many ults they have used. Killer does have this excavation, so we'll have to keep an eye on that, but they are looking for pranksters. Maybe they recognize that Pranksters is kind of just playing in these off positions and they're punishing him really well, so it's immediately putting Thomas down not just one player, but also one support. We are going to see the Pulse Bomb come out from Carter is going to get Aquilian out of mech, and without that Diva Bomb to remech, we're going to have to see an activation here from Killer, trying to make something happen, but he's going to get booped around because Destiny's also going to pop the Primal. Killer is looking for Dr. Death. Rice Shoes does fall to the Primal. Now it's just going to be a brawl on point to try to stall. Neon's going to find Clogpog. Killer's going to get the HP pack, get back on. Pranksters is going to fall immediately. Neon's trying to do what he can to force out Carter. So it's kind of like a 2v3. Killer is going to fall in the skies, but Arise is going to fall immediately after. Aquilian finding a nice pick. Go to Neon, go to his perspective real quick. Neon does have this Pulse Bomb. They are trying to buy time for Neon to get back. Maybe find an excellent Pulse Bomb here. It's just going to be the 1v1. It's going to be hard for Neon to really do anything, though. 64 HP does have the recall. Is going to use the recall. Going to go behind trying to find the Mega Pack here. And it looks like it's still just kind of a brawl on point, but they do see the Echo coming back. You're going to see the blink. Then there's actually, while we're not looking, it's going to be a C9 for the side of Thomas College onto the objective, which is going to give the Redbirds the point here on Ilios Well. That's kind of unfortunate. We were also caught up in watching Neon with the Pulse Bomb, so we weren't able to see exactly what happened, but it is mighty unfortunate nonetheless that Thomas, looking in such a contestable position, gives it up to a C9. Happens to the best of us, don't get me wrong, but regardless, you still hate to see it. And anyway, as we go into this next round, it's going to be Lighthouse. Another one we're going to see pretty much the same comp. We are going to see a slight bit of a swap up here for the side of the Redbirds. We are going to see a Brig Ana instead, as we saw, I believe, on the game Monday, I believe. It looked a really good playing into this map specifically because it forces a lot of the enemy team to commit dives onto this high ground, where Destiny on this Winston can especially kind of do a counter dive. They do manage to find a boop on a Dr. Death, who is going to get knocked down. Killer is going to lose his life for it. Right Shoes as well is going to fall, and now it's just Pranksters as support, and he's going to be put under a lot of pressure here, as the Redbirds are eventually going to find that pick, and Aquilian is going to have to back up and try to go onto point where they were going to contest, but it's going to get demected, most likely staggered here, as he looks for a pick onto Clogpog. The baby Diva Diff is going to find that pick onto Clogpog, and going to make their life a little bit less enjoyable now, as they're also down the one support. Killer is going to act like the tank here, trying to box out Destiny and gain space, but not going to be possible as Thomas just calls for the regroup and recontest. Falls a little bit low here. Playing against that Echo is really dangerous. We do see the Bell TP, or maybe just the Bell come out as Rice Shoes got anti there, as you saw. Ult economy looking a little bit in favor of the Redbirds. They're going to have a lot more ults to do with this. Duplication can be potentially nasty. And as you see as well, Arise is just kind of sitting and waiting for Killer's dive. Hitting him with the stickies, hitting him with the beam to try to force him out where he can. We're going to see the point flip at 31% over to Thomas. The Pulse Bomb going to come out, and unfortunately, Rice Shoes is going to fall victim to it, and Carter is going to find another pick right after that on the Pranksters, leaving Thomas with no supports. In comparison to Redbird's 2 supports still on the high ground, we do see a Nano come out, as it is just Destiny on the point. Not really any DPS there to follow up, but with the Nanoed Winston, it should be enough. We do the Excavation come out, as well as Neon finding another Pulse Bomb on a Clogpog, going to put them in a pretty good position here. The point still hasn't flopped, but Rice Juice is just getting juggled in the backline, and Pranksters is soon to follow, and now Thomas is going to be in a dire position, as it's just Neon on this point trying to do what he can. The recall comes out, the stickies are going to come out though, and it's going to be Neon who falls on the cart. They do manage to get it to 35%, but with Redbird's previous 31, it's not going to matter a whole lot, but in the end it could matter. Whew, they're really keeping me on my toes today with this casting, as we see Destiny kind of taking the high ground here, just kind of trying to get some poke, trying to get some ult charge where he can after using that Primal last fight for some reason, but it's not the end of the world. It's nothing like a Kiriko rush or anything. We also see some excellent rotations here by Redbird. We see the rush coming out from Rice Juice here as Prankster just fall, Killer just falls, as well as Aquilian playing on this inside. The rally from Clogpog kind of coming out here, able to keep the rest of Redbirds alive when they're in that small room. And Thomas is immediately going to take that fight loss, having traded 1 ult for 2. Thomas here getting a little bit too close. It's 75% to 35. They're going to have to make something happen soon. Killer is taking so much poke damage and just feeding ult charge to a Rise. But who can blame him? There's no one to deal with this Echo anymore. Raichu's falling to stickies, again taking way too much poke, unable to find that safe way to travel. Who knows what it is doing it? We hear the pulse coming out, it does find Pranksters, and now as they're down both supports, Thomas, 95% to 35, has to make something happen, and now there's only 2 alive to do any contesting on the point. It's going to be Clonkpog going down to try to challenge, but almost gets booped off. Aquilian does have this D-Mech and Remech here. The Pulse Bomb coming out onto a Rise. The nerf is coming out from Aquilian as he gets the Remech on. Neon and Raichus are going to fall on their way back, and it's just Aquilian trying to live on point as much as possible with a Brig and a Winston. It's kind of hard for him to do anything as Defense Matrix doesn't do anything. Prankster's trying to fall on the way back to support. You're going to see Killer trying to force off the Ana off the high ground, and it's just going to be the Baby Diva. The Nano comes out onto the Tracer, as well as the perk that Dr. Death has on the Ana is going to be something that just makes it impossible for them to do anything. As 99% to 51, it's going to be Redbirds who take the first map away from Thomas. Whew. And here we can probably see some excellent break gameplay, not only putting in damage and support, but keeping the Ana alive. As you can see, it was both Killer and Aquilian a decent amount in order to go in and try to find those picks. But even after just going on to this objective and brawling with the rest of the team, it's amazing stuff from their team and amazing coordination. And as you can see, it just made it so hard for Thomas to really be able to do anything. It's unfortunate if you're a Thomas fan, but if you're Redbirds, that's what you want to see. That's the kind of gameplay, I mean, really any team would love to see, or any fan of their team would like to see. Gotta drink some water. That one was more intense than I thought it'd be. I forget how painful it can be solo casting. But regardless, it is going to be either Hybrid or Escort next, and because Thomas lost in the previous round on Ilios, it is going to come down to whatchamacallit. It's going to come down to, I can't think, Thomas to pick the next mode. They are most likely currently deliberating between themselves and having some talk as to what could have gone better in the previous round. I will say Pranksters did get caught out a lot, which is unfortunate. Pranksters is just not really used to playing at this high rank, so he is trying to fill some very, very big shoes, as we see a lot of excellent stuff from Bookshelf normally. But regardless, it is the first map playing with a team he doesn't usually play with against higher level people. I'm sure Pranksters will still do excellent in this series regardless. Thomas is just going to need some more coordination though, as Redbirds were just kind of eating them alive. I mean, as you could see, it was just, even if Thomas was the first one to initiate a dive, the rotations from Clonkpog and Dr. Death were excellent. They were rotating, especially on that second map on Lighthouse, they were rotating into the like coffee shop area with that mega health pack and essentially forcing them into a Brig and possibly a Winston flank. And that just makes it really tough, especially for like a Diva Venture who don't have nearly as much either survivability or mobility to be able to really even get out once they're in. And it's always dangerous for a Kiriko, for example, to just kind of teleport in there with a swift step to provide any support, because then you're putting yourself at risk. And then Pranksters just has a hard time getting over there as well sometimes, just due to the way of Juno's mobility. And it's just kind of rough for them all around. And if they don't go after the supports, then the supports, as you see, have that high ground just for free to themselves to kind of just do whatever they want. So if we do see that kind of composition again from both Redbirds and Thomas College, hopefully Thomas College is going to be able to adapt to the situation and look for a different solution, or just maybe even execute it better. Who knows what's going on? But as we are waiting for the next map choice, Thomas College has decided to go hybrid for our next game mode over the Escort. Redbirds do have the map ban, and they are opting to go in with a King's Row ban, which is interesting. A lot of teams have been in the King's Row. I don't necessarily understand why, but sometimes it can just be due to personal preference, or they scouted the team before and know that they've played well on the map. Could be a lot of different reasons, but whatever the reason, that is going to be the map ban. So for all of you Aquilian Reinhardt fans, unfortunately you are not going to see it today. Seems like we're never going to see it if you ask me, but you're going to have to talk to Blizzard on that one. Blizzard needs to make Reinhardt better, more playable. Either that or Aquilian just needs to say, to hell with it, and play Reinhardt. Pretty exciting series so far, though. If this is just what Map 1 brought us, I'm excited to see Map 2. That is for sure. Remember, guys, we still have a game later at 10 o'clock. It's going to be Thomas College B team. And tomorrow as well, we will still have more games. Most likely the A team once more. And if anything, the B team could be one, could be both, could be neither. But there are going to be more Overwatch games tomorrow. Also, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with it, but stay alert. If you follow us on Thomas College Esports on Twitch, at least, you will be able to get notifications when we go live, because there is a chance, per se, that a very exciting LAN event will be streamed later in the semester. Like I said, I don't know exactly if it's actually going to be streamed or what it's going to look like necessarily, but Thomas College will be participating in a LAN event with the other schools in Maine, and hopefully I'm not leaking anything. That would that would suck. But there is a possibility that it could be streamed as well, so tune in for some exciting games. It's going to be... let's see. I can look real quick. I can look back. I know Marvel Rivals is going to be one of those games that are going to be streamed. But I know it's going to be Marvel Rivals, Smash Bros, and Rocket League is what we've got so far. Unfortunately, there just weren't enough teams for other games that were a possibility. So, but just keep an eye out for it. And hopefully we can provide information if it's streamed elsewhere. But hopefully your boy here can maybe be one of the casters for the games. Anyways, after all that yapping, Thomas College, after some deliberation, has decided to go to Midtown today. That's right, Midtown. Kind of a classic map pick for Thomas College, as they can still run that Diva. They can also run the Ramatra should they want. And it'll be interesting to see what the Redbirds choose to go on this map as well, as I don't believe we've seen it yet. Looks like there's also not really going to be any swaps by the looks of it. Looks like we're going to be seeing most likely the same composition, or not the same composition, but the same lineups for both teams with no swaps. There could be some role swaps later in the game from Redbirds, but I highly doubt it, as their previous kind of lineup and composition looked excellent, and I doubt they'd want to change it, at least right now. But as the announcer just said for me, we are now entering Midtown. We've seen some amazing stuff from Thomas here. At least in the past, when there was a different meta, we did see a lot of the Ashe and the Illari. The Ashe being able to sit up over here in this cuppy, as we've seen multiple times, with just the Ashe having all of this free fire here. I mean, who doesn't like free fire here? Who doesn't like a free shooting gallery? It was very hard for a lot of teams to penetrate it. But as we come out of spawn, we see a slightly different look from both teams. Of course, I say slightly, but it's really kind of just slightly for Thomas. But really The only similarity we see from the previous game is going to be Klonkpog here on this Brig. That's the only similarity we see, as well as Killer on the Venture, but then again, he doesn't play anything else. He just plays the Venture, really. I don't know why he doesn't play or learn anything else. I think he should, but hey, that's just my opinion. Like I said earlier, he makes it work regardless. But as we come in here, we're going to be seeing the Redbirds here on defense with this Juno Brig. A Sojourn, which is just incredibly strong, I feel, overall. And then a Torbjorn who can just provide so much pressure regardless. On the side of Thomas College, we're going to be seeing that Venture, like I just mentioned. We're going to pretty much be seeing everything's going to be similar except for the Venture and the Torb. Neon 1 HP to our right click almost falls. We see Thomas here taking a rotation into this room here. It's going to be make it a little interesting. It's a bit of a safer rotation, at least, because they have this cover. Raishu's going to fall to the Sojourn Orb, though. It's going to put Thomas in a rough position, as yet again they are down one support, and they're going to have to make the call to rotate back out and wait for Raishu to come back. Killer here on this flank, trying to look for an assassination kill. Kind of just doesn't find anyone and is going to be forced to dig and try to get out to regroup with the team to stay alive. Neon here building ult charge a little bit faster than Carter, but it's kind of minimal and they should build it around the same time. But with a Soldier, that minimal time could be the difference maker in the game. We do see the Torb here trying to provide pressure onto Venture. And it does put on a lot of pressure and a lot of damage, but he's going to fall eventually for it. And now as they start brawling here in this tiny room, Destiny's kind of on this off angle, and he's going to be able to box in there with the rest of Thomas College. But here we see Neon with the overclock, exactly what we were waiting for. Going to go out, he's going to immediately find Klonkpog. Arise is going to come back. Destiny's going to fall a nice shot. It should be Arise who falls next. Unfortunately, a whiff shot's going to lead to him probably getting out alive. Thomas here does need to stay on the point and get it going. Arise does eventually fall. Carter getting out at actually 1 HP pretty much. And it looks like the Redbirds are just... Oh, excuse me. Gonna opt to just let Thomas have this point and just recontest fully at the corner. Ults are slightly looking in favor of Redbirds here, as Dr. Death and Klonkpog are about to come up on theirs, and they'll have 5 ultimates to work with, whereas Thomas had to use 1 just to get the objective, and Killer's still 25% from his. We see the satellite vector coming out from Dr. Death. Carter does fall to a Quillian immediately, though the satellite vector being mirrored here by Pranksters. Pranksters finding a pick onto Dr. Death as well with that lock-on missile healing thing that Juno has. I don't know what the ability's called. While the objective's not getting pushed, Destiny decides to pop the Annihilation here, fighting Pranksters kind of walking into the backline. We do see the rally coming out from Raishu as well, being mirrored by Klonkpog. Arise using that, I don't even know what it's called, the Molten Core, that's what it's called. And what actually looked like a solid fight from Thomas ended up being a fight win for the Redbirds. Unfortunately, though, it cost them 4 ultimates. And if you know anything about Overwatch economy and ult economy, that is not good. That is just not good. Ults are what can win you fights. The more ults you have, the more likely you are to win a fight, theoretically. So, for Thomas to walk into this with 3 ults, the actual similar mirror from Neon and Carter, Neon finding that right click though, shutting down Carter, is exactly what's going to provide Thomas with a win here on this point. And it's going to be Dr. Death and Carter who fall. The Annihilation being committed here as they're brawling on point. Arise is 1 HP, going to fall though as Aquilium finds a double kill of his own onto Destiny and Arise, who are contesting, oh, excuse me, the payload. And now Thomas is going to be able to take this high ground from them and get the push going. Unfortunately, they also now have no ultimates, and it's just going to be a pure battle of the mechanics and who can out-aim who. As it's just going to be Arise and Destiny, as well as Pranksters and Raishu, who are the only ones going to be close to this ultimate for either side. Pretty good angle for Carter here, trying to find what he can. Following 1 HP though, Pranksters and Carter get a trade, kind of debating what's better or what's worse. It's going to be Raishu's pushing the objective kind of by herself right now, but Arise is going to find a Quillian, and with that you're going to see Raishu's bash out with a shield bash, and it's going to be Redbirds who kind of contest this high ground and force Thomas College back out as they still have a tank alive. They now have to wait for Aquilian. I wish I would stop doing that. To walk back from spawn in order to recontest. Redbirds here coming up on a bunch of ultimates though. Killer getting caught out on the flank though. Falling is not going to be good for Thomas at all, as now it's a 4v5. One of your DPS is down, someone who provided a flank, someone who provided an angle, and now just to rub it in their face and secure the fight, Destiny is going to pop the Annihilation and is going to finish off the rest of Thomas. And Arise here trying to find Killer. Not dying for it either! That is not what you want to see at all. Killer falling there is just going to stall even more time from their almost non-existent time bank. And now you're going to have to wait because there's a minute left. And Thomas is not looking too hot right now. We see Neon Annihilation come out. Not the Annihilation, the Overclock come out. Neon does fall immediately, though, to Destiny. It does find Carter, so that is their Overclock down. The Satellite Vector coming out is going to be mirrored, as well as the Rally for some reason. The Molten Core from Arise in the back is going to make it a little bit hard for them to walk around freely. Dr. Death is going to fall, as well as Clonkbug in the background. Killer getting a nice little flank there and fighting them all. But Arise on this backline, as well as Destiny, is going to make it really hard for Thomas to do anything. And now you gotta wonder what Arise is gonna do on this flank. He's gonna find Pranksters, is going to fall, but that's going to give the Redbirds the time they need to recontest. It may look like he was inting and trolling there by going on that flank, but he's essentially doing what Killer was doing, but just kind of better in a weird way. So now Thomas is going to have to throw ults here as Righteous immediately falls on the car, not having any other support. We do see the Excavation coming out from Killer here, trying to find some picks. The Annihilation coming out from Aquilian as well on the car is going to get mirrored by Destiny. Arise is going to follow the Excavation. They're trying to look for Carter. Carter's 1 HP, as you can see in the top left. Righteous and Prankster is going to have to make their way back. Killer's going to find Carter. It's just going to be Destiny here in the air, trying to keep Destiny alive. Not Destiny keeping Destiny alive, but Dr. Death. It's going to be Dr. Death who falls, and now Thomas has a lot of control over this point as Destiny's going to run back on in the Annihilation form. Clonkbug here to try to provide what support he can because they have the close spawn. They know that it can be winnable, but Destiny's going to fall, and now it's just Arise and Clonkbug and Carter coming back from spawn. They know they're not going to be able to, so Arise is just going to have to do what he can to just die as quick as possible as Thomas gets into this checkpoint. A minute and a half on the clock and taking a lot of space. I love that. Looking a little dangerous there for Thomas College. But they do manage, oh my goodness, to get what they need and push. Carter did fall there. We weren't exactly looking, but Killer was able to find a pick onto Carter. Neon as well finding a pick onto Dr. Death. Trying to just find a pick. Arise kind of going on a weird angle there. Not sure about that. A beautiful slide headshot from Neon onto Clonkpog. And another one. Almost a team kill by himself there. As now Thomas is able to just kind of take this space and hold their spawn. We do see Arise, though, has this Molten Core, wants to use it on the objective. Does a turn off to the side, getting a little flank. Probably isn't going to last too long as it falls immediately. And now Arise is going to go on a cheeky little angle here, trying to look for Righteous and Neon. Maybe Payload coming in, the Molten Core onto point is going to make it hard for Thomas to really do anything. Prankster's coming up with a Satellite Vector, kind of running in at a weird angle there, but the Satellite Vector does stay. Clonkbot coming out with the rally here is going to go on cart and try to sustain the rest of the team. Righteous is going to fall. There's no supports left for Thomas, and Thomas doesn't have any else to work with. Righteous is someone they needed to stay alive as they had that rally, and now as Neon slides onto the point here with Killer, Killer is going to fall in the air. Neon's not even going to be able to touch point, and 1.74 meters from full pushing. Thomas is going to be held out by the Redbirds, and now it's the Redbirds' turn to beat them. Will they beat them? Will they lose just shy of 1.74 meters? We'll soon see. Unfortunately, in that last fight, Rice Juice falling there was just very unfortunate, as Rice Juice had that rally in hand. It was right there on the tip of a Rice Juice's tongue. And Rice Juice just couldn't get it in time. It's unfortunate. but that's the game of Overwatch. Aquilian as well was about 20, not even 20, off of the Annihilation form as well. And just due to the Redbirds having more ultimates in the end, Thomas just wasn't able to get that full push that they wanted. And unfortunately had to lose it all right at the very end. Take a drink of water real quick before this next round starts. Some nice cold water always keeps me going. Gotta stay hydrated, kids. But we see pretty much the same thing from both sides, except this time, Arise is on Pharah. Arise is on Pharah. We have seen the Arise Pharah, and it was pretty strong. Aquilian and Destiny just kind of going at it here as Killer's trying to get that off angle yet again. It's going to be Neon's job here to try to deal with this Pharah where he can. Arise is kind of on the flank now, as we see, and this Pharah on the flank is going to do exactly that and make their life difficult. They do trade Sojourns, but Righteous is eventually going to fall as well. Clockpoint, they're just trading role for role right now. Dr. Death still being alive. It's going to be Pranksters who's still alive, trying to do what he can, isn't able to get out. The enclosed space makes it that much harder to duke it out with them. Both teams getting back at roughly the same time. It's going to be Killer who's trying to be there. They don't really get any percentage. They're able to take a lot of space, but they're unfortunately going to have to give a little bit. Simply because... I wish I could stop doing that. Neon here getting caught out in a bad position there while I was yawning. It's going to cause him to fall there, and it's going to put Thomas in a bad position, as they had to work really hard to get to this point. But as Killer falls as well, Thomas just kind of have to let them have this. They don't have the numbers or even the ults to really do anything about it, and now we're even going to see Neon go over to the Ashe over the Sojourn to try to deal with this Pharah even more than the Sojourn can. Personally, I would love to see Killer swap off of the Torbjorn, or not the Torbjorn, the Venture onto something else, just to try to provide that extra support. And as you can see, Arise goes for a cheeky solo ult on the Killer, but isn't able to get it. But as you saw also early in the fight, Neon got booped away by Arise. Arise eventually getting that kill onto Killer anyway. His name may be the Killer, but he is in fact the one being killed all of the time. I would just love to see the Venture Venture's just not really getting a whole lot of value here, as they have so many people who are able to just kind of avoid the Venture per se. Carter here on this off angle with this overclock after finding a pick onto Neon is going to make it really tough for Thomas to really do anything. And Thomas, they nearly lost here at this point. They had to go into overtime just to, you know, even get this far. But as we see the excavation, the rally, and the style of Venture coming up from both teams, it's going to be an absolute brawl, as Aquilian's also going to press the ult here. Neon's going to fall on this Widowmaker in the flank due to a Rise. Destiny here mirroring the Annihilation, and because of just the ult chain and CC, it's just not going to be enough for Thomas, as I believe they are going to fall here, even after committing 4 ultimates. It's not enough. It's just not enough. As now we'll see Rice Juice and Neon both make a swap to the Illari and the Cassidy, respectively. Again, I just think the... Oh, that's just... I got no words for that. That's just so unfortunate. A Rise on this Pharah is just doing them so dirty right now. 4.5 minutes is a 1v1 for a Brig and a Venture on cart, and Killer does win that. Brig just has a hard time 1v1ing, usually a lot of the time. But against the Venture as well, it's just going to be really hard. As now you see Killer actually going for it again. 1 HP is probably going to fall here. Thomas able to take a lot of space and pressure here. Neon able to find Clockpog kind of just walking. So they do kind of get a trade going off, and Thomas should be able to be in the advantage. But it's still looking rough for them as they have 3.5 minutes. Neon finding some nice shots on the Widowmaker after not really finding any groove on anything else. Unfortunately, Arise is going to just be out of the LOS and find Neon there. The Ilaria as well able to put in a little more pressure on Arise on the Pharah, but has been working so well. I don't see the swap coming out anytime soon. Both teams coming up on some ults that could change the name of the game. The Silent Avenger coming out immediately actually from Dr. Death. Carter's going to follow the Neon. A nice shot yet again. Aquilian going to pop the Annihilation here. As we see Neon pop these sights as well. Clockpog going to follow, and Thomas has the numbers as just a kind of a 2v1, I guess. Arise kind of just sitting back towards spawn, unable to do anything. And Thomas is still able to hold on. 2.5 minutes on the clock. And they still have the chance. We're going to have to see what Thomas is going to be able to do, though. They do have 3 ultimates coming up, but so do Redbirds. The Redbirds have some pretty deadly ultimates coming up. A lot of fight-winning stuff. Alari doesn't really provide a lot with the ult. It still can find those picks onto those squishy targets, but you need to be able to hit it. And sometimes you just can't. The solo ult onto Arise gets mirrored immediately by Arise, finding Killer coming out on top. We got ults being popped left and right as the Satellite Vector and the Ilaria come out. The Ilaria doesn't really find anyone. Carter and Clonkpog and Destiny all press Q at the same time as well. And it's going to be the Redbirds who come out on top here as they just find more picks all over the place. That's insane. Neon's coming out of spawn, but is going to fall to Destiny just holding that spawn. It's going to be Killer's job to touch the objective, but he's going to have to get off and fall immediately. Quillian running out, trying to do what he can. 0.1%! 0.1 meter. It's going to have to make something happen, but as Rice Juice comes out on the Lucio, it's going to fall immediately. Pranksters is going to fall immediately here as well. As just going to realize that that support needs to die. And Quillian's just going to go onto the card and try to block and do whatever he can. And now it's going to be so tough for them to do anything as Thomas as well takes the L on Hybrid here on Midtown, bringing Redbirds to match point. That's right. Thomas is currently down 0-2 and need to make something happen and turn it around now, or they will be going home losers. Again there, not a bad showing from both teams necessarily. I just think, especially on this map, that the Venture was just not getting that value. I'm not a Venture hater. I've seen what Killer can do on the Venture. I've seen it happen plenty of times before. But I don't think that is the play today. At all. I would have rather, but even a Torbjorn I feel like would have been better. Just anything to try to help Neon. Because Neon on the Soldier was doing excellent. And the Widow was popping off later too. But I think, genuinely think, that if Killer was playing something different to support against the Pharah, that would have went a lot better. Redbirds just overall being a little bit more dominant. Gotta say I'm ready in the chat because they're immediately going on to it. As the next map is Push. That's right, we're gonna just cancel every single thought I ever had and immediately go back to the game. Push is going to be the next map, and it's going to be a Coliseo ban from the side of Redbirds, which is going to bring us to the next map, and what could be the final map, Runasapi. That's right, Thomas College's signature classic, Ever since it came out, it seems like they've been playing it so much. A lot of teams have. Seems like a pretty solid map all around. Really solid map all around. We've seen both Thomas A and B team shine on this map. We've seen other teams shine on this map, and it's always been a really close series, regardless. But Thomas is going to have to be the one who outshines Redbird here. Or else, like I said, they're going to be going home. Possibly not even going to playoffs. Because that's right, this game and the game tomorrow, I believe, determines if they can even go to playoffs. So, hopefully Thomas can lock in, make the changes they need. Or maybe Redbirds decide to just lock out. They were locked in from the beginning, but then they unlocked the door, lost the key, something. Whatever it is, Thomas needs to make something happen. Or else it is Jover. But we will see what happens, as they are probably deciding what they need to change right now. Everyone except Thomas's team is ready right now. I mean, can't blame them. You're down 2-0. You got to talk about it. You got to figure out something to change. So we'll see. What time is it? It is only 8:51. At this rate, depending on how the rest of the series go, we might be able to end the stream early, get like an hour break, and then come back for the B team game at 10. Whew. As fun as casting is, I will say, if you love your voice and you don't want to lose it, don't cast. Outside of that, it's kind of hard. But it's fun, you know? It's kind of like gaming without having to be good at the game. Oh, Thomas not even hitting the R in chat and just launching us into the game. And we load into Runasapi. Five seconds until we can see what Thomas is going to decide to run, as well as what we are going to see. No way we see it. There's no way we see it. I think we're going to see it. We're going to see the Venture off. The Venture duel. An almost mirror comp, as instead of the Soldier, we see the Ashe this time. I am curious. I want to see this happen. Both Ventures here, gathering up on the side, trying to find some poke. Arise finding a little bit more poke than Killer, but that's fine. You can just get some healing real quick. Killer coming out on top of the first duel. The 1v1 going in favor of Killer. Keep track of that, fans. It's 1-0 in favor of Killer. Aquilian here brawling, falling a little bit low here, is going to be able to be sustained by the Brig Juno. Killer is going to kind of go in and try to help with the flank here a little bit. Going to be able to force Redbirds out, and Thomas is going to be able to start pushing this objective just a little bit. Just a little bit. We do see a Rise coming in. Able to find Pranksters, and Raishu's falling immediately after. Even though it's not a 1v1, that was some insane value that the Venture got there, as the rest of Thomas is going to fall just after pushing a merely 19.91 meters. Killer just going to fall in the back line there, and it's going to be the Redbirds who begin their push now. Redbirds are probably going to get the lead here. Thomas unable to really contest the push as they were coming back from spawn. Ult charge looking pretty similar, but a Rise falling on a flank there to Neon, and Raishu, it looks like, with support onto Neon. Klonkpog's going to find Killer though, so it's going to be both Ventures falling for both teams, and now it's just kind of back to an even fight here on the payload. On the bot, as Destiny walks in, they should realize that he has this Annihilation. As the Annihilation comes out, Raishu does manage to bash out, as well as Neon sliding out, but it's going to be Pranksters who's going to be the one who falls. Neon popping this ultimate here, this overclock, to try to force Destiny back, if anything. It's actually still going to be the one forced back, as Aquilian's now just by himself on the cart. The rest of Thomas just kiting out, and leaving Aquilian to his death. I mean, I don't know if that was just a misplay or there was no comms there for the rotate out, but Aquilian being left alone there is not what you want to see, as now the Redbirds have gotten this close checkpoint. And their push is just going to keep going. Killer is on this point, trying to stall and do what he can. Excavation coming out here, actually, could be massive depending on who he finds. Doesn't actually find anyone, really. A Rise is going to fall to a nice right click from Neon, so Killer is going to have free reign here, not being contested by the Venture. The rally is going to come out here from Klonkpog, is going to be able to bash out and get out. Raishu is deciding to mirror it, not really the play I would want to make there, but it's not a bad one, as they are able to put Destiny in a corner here and in a locker and just beat the ever-loving hell out of him. And now Carter, Clunk, and Dr. Death are going to be forced to try to kite out, but Thomas is bloodthirsty and hungry. They want to try to find these picks to prevent them from really being able to do anything. But with that close spawn being right there for Redbirds, it's going to be really hard for Thomas to be able to capitalize on those picks and do anything with it. A Rise here trying to look for Pranksters as the Bob from Redbirds comes out, immediately finds Neon. Neon's going to fall, and that's just going to make it immediately tough. The excavation coming out for a Rise as well. Both TBSLs for the side of Redbird are going to put in the work, and it's going to be the Redbirds who come out on top, as Killer does fall. Killer doesn't fall. I mean, he does fall eventually, but he finds Klonkpog along the way. And really not getting a whole lot more push than they had before. The Redbirds are going to be able to start pushing the objective yet again. They do notice that a Rise is on a insane flank right now.
This ends now.
Neon popping the overclock here is gonna go and find Dr. Death, making them go down one support. Neon's going to fall though, so that's the overclock down, not getting as much value as before. And it seems like they may have just forgotten about a Rise, as Pranksters does find a Rise, but Raishu is going to fall, and Destiny had popped that Annihilation. It's going to be a little bit rough because everyone is so split. Killer going to pop the excavation, going to fall to Klonkpog again. Prankster's going to find that final blow onto Klonkpog though, and now it's just Ramatra and Juno versus Ramatra and Juno on this objective here. It is unfortunately going to be on... it is going to be... whatchamacallit. You would think it's going to be Redbirds who get the push and have the faster spawns. But it's actually not, and it's going to be Carter who falls to Neon as they both swap to Cassidy here, as Dr. Death and the Satellite Vectors are coming out, Aquilian and the Rally both getting mirrored here, and Thomas kind of only chose the chose to go for the 1 for 3. Dr. Death is the only one who had used the ultimate there, but Raishu's, Pranksters, and Aquilian all of them used ult. And now I mean, they have a couple of ults coming up. But Klongpog having this rally is going to make it really tough. The High Noon doesn't necessarily provide nearly as much value. Klongpog immediately finding Killer there on the flank. Neon's going to fall as well. Thomas barely shy of getting the lead here. Matter of fact, not even 4 meters. It's less than 4 meters. And the rest of them are going to fall as Raishus is going to try to get out, but most likely will get picked off here as they chase Raishus down. And yep, there it is. Raishus falls. So now they're trying to look for the picks that they can get. Neon here having to be careful. They do pop the sides. They do see the Venture. The Venture kind of going in trying to find anything. Doesn't find anything. And now, as Redbirds kind of get this bot here to the checkpoint, they're going to have such a huge advantage 3 minutes here into the game. Neon with the High Noon coming out does get mirrored. Doesn't get mirrored. I'm just hearing things because I zoomed in. Doesn't really find anyone. Doesn't really do any damage. Neon getting picked off immediately after. Arise finding a couple of picks immediately. The High Noon from Carter coming out as well is going to find Aquilian. And even though Klongpog and Arise both fell, it's going to be the Redbirds who come out on top as both Pranksters and Killer are not only just low, but alone and have to get out in order to try to do what they can in the next fight. Neon swapping over to the Widowmaker here to try to contest Arise. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be Widow versus Widow. The Venture just kind of not happening anymore for the side of Redbirds. Arise fighting Killer. Another nice shot from him. Neon unfortunately not able to find a nice shot onto the Juno that could have led to a nice fight contesting. Raishu's going to fall there to the Ramattra E. The Ramattra slow. Prankster's going to fall as well. Neon trying to find that pick, but unfortunately with the rest of them falling there, it's going to be a lot harder for Thomas to really do anything as they start to come into the final push. Aquilian's going to fall here on this corner, on this rock. Neon's going to fall to Dr. Death and not really able to get out. Killer's going to go on and try to stall and wait for the rest of the team to get back to get out. Killer's going to pop the excavation to try to make something happen. It's not going to really make anything happen. It's going to try to go around and find some picks and just be a mosquito on the wall. It's going to be able to actually dig back down yet again. The stall is actually going crazy by Killer here. Going to pop out. B1 HP is going to fall because it's so predictable to hit a Venture in the air like that. And so Redbirds can just kind of hold this angle. Neon does manage to find the pick onto Arise, and Aquilian decides to commit the annihilation. And Satellite Venture coming out from Dr. Death is going to shred him down as there's no supports for the side of Thomas to come up. And the Satellite Venture is a little bit too late. And as we come up here, there's a minute and a half. It's just going to be Neon, half HP. Destiny with the annihilation is going to bring the cart to the end. And bring this series to a 3-0 in favor of Redbirds. Looks like there's a little bit of a bag possibly that happened. I don't think we caught it. So there's a little bit of toxicity there. It is kind of unsportsmanlike to do that in a game. So if that did happen, that is not okay, and we don't condone that. Things happen. We don't know exactly what the case is. But regardless, that is going to be it for Thomas College A team tonight, as they are going to go home 0-3 after a progressively, honestly, kind of disappointing towards the end. Thomas College just kind of fell apart towards the end, and it just wasn't looking too good. But that is it for the 8-team game. What time is it? Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely not going to stream myself for like another hour. I mean, I don't got much else to say. I would have loved Killer to go on a different pick besides the Venture. Personally, I think the Venture just wasn't getting enough value, especially on Midtown. It looked a little better on Runasapi, but I think they should have swapped. But they did just kind of start to fall off towards the end there, and unfortunately, it was their undoing. But that is going to be it for the Thomas College A game. I want to thank you all for tuning in for the A game. Follow us on Thomas College Esports, for one, on Twitch, so that we never miss a notification for when we go live. We're going live in an hour! And then follow us on Thomas Esports on Instagram and Twitter, or X, whatever you still call it. Doesn't matter these days. So that way you can get things like clips of the day, which is coming back. I know I say it all the time that there's going to be a clip of the day, but that should be coming back soon. At least clip of the week, maybe. But do come back in an hour to watch the Overwatch B team play against... we can go to in-between games here a minute. Hold on. We'll just look at the team logo, because I forget. Trent Excalibur! That team. I'll look up the college name in a minute. But do come back for that game, as it should be just as exciting, and you will get to see Pranksters play again. But regardless, go take a break, get some water, get some snacks, come back at 10 o'clock for the Overwatch B team game, and we will see you then. Bye-bye!